Hey, hello, and welcome to the library. Hi, Ellie. Hi, Kali. Welcome here. I hope that you are doing very well. It's Wednesday time, so I hope that, well, congratulations on your wedding, I guess. Ellie, I hope that we are invited to the ceremony. Hi. Nothing is ready because I was embroiled in, online discourse instead of like preparing the stream, but it is what it is. I hope you can hear me well. Yeah, I was like reading some things because there was an article about like, oh, we are immediately going like in the thorny topics. There was an article by, the sound is a bit loud. By I don't know who exactly, to be fair. Like I haven't read the article because like we know, right? About J.K. Rowling and her founding basically like half of the, transphobic movement across the world. And there was some discourse again about like, the death of the author and the fact that like you can separate the work from the writer. And we are used to this, right? We are used to reading all those things. It's nothing new. But I personally hate the concept of the death of the author, at least the way it has been reused and retaken by people, by the general public that is not versed in literary criticism. And by that, I mean by the tools of literary criticism. To just like put things like very quickly in their context, this is a concept that kind of like emerged at the end of the 60s when Roland Barthes wrote an article in English first about, well, called The Death of the Author. And for very like interesting reasons, it's not that much of a, it's not such a big deal in France because it's really something that took hold like in the Anglo-Saxon sphere, and we were like, yeah, this is like interesting, but I think he wrote more interesting like and more nuanced things about like author and reading. And in France it was like, yeah, good for him, but like we prefer like to read other books that he wrote. And the idea of like the death of the author is not to allow people to enjoy crazy stuff and to be absolved of any responsibility coming from it. Because there are two authors on like in a novel, in like a set piece, textual piece. There's like the scripter, the person writing, and what you could call like the author with like a capital A, which is kind of like a mythical entity that is deciding the meaning of the text in a very like theological sense. Like there is no other way to interpret the text than like the one that the author is giving to you. And the goal of this particular concept, the death of the author with a capital A, is to say that like the author cannot decide the meaning of the text in a unique way, but it's to give back agency to the reader. Like the whole concept of like Barthes was to make a theory of the reader, of reading, that like reading is part of the experience and you cannot like just write in like a vacuum. And that's very important because, and without going like too deep, because it's we need to like basically look at like, the literary landscape of that time. But for Barthes, the idea is that like a text is a combination of signs, right? And you need to decode those signs. So we don't allow the author with a capital A to decide what like those signs are, but we give back the agency to the reader. But then that's the reader responsibility, and readers can have like different readings of like something it's completely all right. But it's the responsibility of the readers to engage with those signs and to draw connections with the context around. Because for Bart, the text is always a sort of quotation of something. We're always making references to like previous signs, to signs around us. And that's why we can like situate the text as kind of like the point of convergence of different signs that are still cryptic, right? And to the readers is the task of decoding those like complex signs. But if, as a reader, you are made aware of like an information network of like the broader context, and you decide to like not pay attention to that or to ignore that, it says more about the reader than the text, is the point, right? Because the responsibility at this moment becomes yours and not the reader, and not the author, with a capital A. So that's like the whole point in Bart's mind of like his theory of reading, that we can agree or not. Like, I don't completely agree with Bart. I think like he's a little bit too lenient on the readers. But I hate this thing of like having taken this concept and kind of like emptied it of all its like meaning and its like critical ability to kind of like just be here for absolving yourself of like what you consume, right? If a reader is bound by an author's explicit intention, literature ceases to be a conversation. Exactly. There's always a transaction between the text, the author, and the readers. It's like a triangle where everything is interacting with each other. And that's very funny because if you actually take in this framework the idea that like the author is dead in, let's say, like Harry Potter, as a reader, you should be able to make the connection of, oh, this is, you know, the work that is permeating, like, that is permeated by exterior signs that inform the text. And we know about Harry Potter, the, you know, patriarchal construction of the world. We know about like this, all, you know, the racist, anti-Semite occurrences that we found like in the text, and that has been like documented like by many other people. We don't need to go back into this. Like, to enjoy the text as like Rowling is giving you in her books, meaning that like with this idea of, you know, a Disneylandification of like Britain, and like the fantasy of like a middle class that is like that feels like insecure in its identity, that's literally having like a theological like interpretation of the text. That's literally like what Rowling as an author with like a capital A is trying to feed you. And to go beyond that, it's abolishing like the state, like the status of the author, to kind of like take the broader context. And again, as the reader, you do whatever you want to do, right? You can decide to ignore exterior signs, you can decide to ignore information. But again, in my opinion, sorry, I think that like it says more about you as a reader than about the text per se. Because like we can judge like, you know, Harry Potter for as a text, but I think most of like the criticism is also like the key criticism is targeted to Rowling, right? And it's because like we know things about Rowling's that like it colors the text, and makes the text like unpalatable. But if we take her accountable for like her positions outside of the text first, and then like how it permeates the text, then we should also like keep the readers, in my opinion, that's not Barnes saying that, that's me, we should also keep the readers accountable to some extent. Like, there are like lines that we can, there's no like red, red line or lines that we're tracing in the sand to say that like, oh, you're a good or you're a bad person if you're engaging with that. For me, the true line is like, what intellectual position do you take? Do you take like when you're like in front of like a specific work? It's not like, do you have to read it or not? It's most like it. For me, it's like, are you emitting? Are you like doing this reading while keeping in mind that like, this is a controversial work? Can you accept that like you're reading, the act of you reading this thing, and especially if like you're founding this by buying, said book, are you aware of like the broader consequences that it has? And that goes beyond the act of reading, right? Because it becomes like an ideological and kind of like activist position to take, a political position to take. But at the same time, everything is political, everything is textual, everything is linked together. And I don't think that, for example, you should like stop playing Dragon Quest just because like Sugiyama was like a piece of, garbage and founded like, terrible things with the money that he got from like Dragon Quest. But you should be aware that like it is something that is real, like that Sugiyama is like a racist, was a xenophobic person, and that like he was founding like far-right groups in Japan. The same way that like if you do engage with like Harry Potter, you need to understand that like you are like giving like social credit to someone that is single-handedly like founding half of the transphobic movement around the world. And I think this is where I draw the line. It's like, are you deluding yourself into thinking that like you are completely safe and that there's no criticism to have like about said author, say text? But we say that like there's no ethical consumption. And I think it's like, again, sometimes it's used in a very weird way, this idea of like no ethical consumption under capitalism. But also like as a consumer, you have the right of like giving your money or not. That's the thing. If you really enjoy Harry Potter, do it on your own. And like, don't talk about it. Just don't talk about it. And, be aware of like what it is. I would prefer like on a very personal level that like, you go into another universe, because like magical universes like this, there are so many of them, and like you can easily find something that like fits you without being like completely cooked. Because again, the idea is not that the world is just like that. The positions of like Rowling's are also informing the text. That's the thing. And beyond like a theological reading of it, the big point of like Barth when he wrote this article was to refuse an analysis of a text that is completely pegged on an author's biography, and to see like a broader context. And I think that like if you just take like the very classic and smooth biography of like Rowling, you won't necessarily see those things. Like, in her bibliography, it's probably not, I mean, it should be, but it's probably not like written that like she's, completely racist and things like that. but it's part of like what she has shown like over the years and through like other books under her alias or whatever, when she wrote like those crazy books, Gilbert something, whatever. And again, it puts the responsibility on the readers. And again, I think like people don't realize that like it says more about you than anything else. I think you can play gacha games because they are becoming like so, you know, dominant that like it's really hard to not play gacha games, but you need to know like what they entail, and that like you need to be open to criticism about like gacha gaming as like a whole. But like we try to be critical of everything, right, that we engage with, because there's no like perfect work. There's always like aspects that we can become better, that we can criticize to reach like a better society. But the moment you use this concept of like the death of an author to like absolve you of any responsibility, when the concept even is to give back some agency to you, then you have failed your task as a reader. You're not reading, you're consuming. And I think like that's sad. That's just very sad. Consuming responsibly is the only way. Not that hard, just don't play gacha games, Monkey said. No, but you are true. You are true. But for me, it's less, you know, it's less like a matter of like activist like purity or like whatever, like leftist purity. And it's more like getting back your agency like as a human being and being able to make like choices and to be also like I think this is the thing. The moment you gain back like some free will, you gain back like some agency, it means that you're also like gaining back the burden of being held accountable for your choices. Like you cannot have like one without the others. And that's like the critical like part for me. Gambling addict, to be fair, like I think I'm probably like very mild on like, I mean, sure we talk about that. I'm a light spender on gacha gaming. Like, you know, if there's like a monthly pass, I will probably take it for the games that I play daily, because why not at this point? But I think I'm doing pretty good with gacha gaming in terms of like, you know, reining myself. Gambling is whatever. It is more degen than what I do. Thank you for this very engaged political take. But yeah, basically it's like let's stop consuming things. I think like there's a moment when we need to engage like in a very critical way with the things that we don't like and the things that we like. And it shows like maturity, like as an individual, to not let yourself be, you know, swayed by like what others people might be saying. Like if we take back the Harry Potter thingy, it's not that you need to choose your side, right? It's not like, oh, you're like on I mean, it can be, but for me it's less being like, oh, I'm on like Rowling's side or I'm against her. The goal has always been to be like, you need to read for yourself. You need not the text, but also like everything that is around the text. You need to read about context. You need to read about what is happening in the world right now. You need to read about politics. You need to read about like, you know, your fellow human beings who are trying to live like normally, right? And by doing this critical lecture and reading about the world around you, then you can take like a position on the text and you can like interpret the text. But if you are letting other people do the work for you, then you have like failed what Bart was trying to give you back, which is your authority, your agency as like a reader and a very unique human being who can make decisions for themselves. And again, like what I'm judging when I'm judging like people using this concept is like, I'm judging those people and not the text by itself, because like there's not much I can do with the text. I already have like my position about it. And it's so funny how like, as much as like everyone knows like kind of like intuitively that everything is political, there's like this when it comes to things that you like, there's always this kind of, I don't know, fear of like really engaging with things politically and like seeing that like what you like might not be perfect, but like that's the point of being alive and of being human, right? If like what you enjoy is completely perfect and there's nothing to criticize, there's nothing like to say about it, there's no friction per se, then we don't grow anymore. Then it's like a cultural and individual stagnation, and what's the point of art then? Like, we should be able to read art always critically. And I know that like a lot of people sometimes say that like, but I just want to have fun. I don't want to like engage with things like on a political level and stuff. And I'm like, it's all right on the moment, right? If you want to engage with something on a pure like entertaining mode while you're like, you know, watching your movie, reading your book or whatever, I think it's all right. But when the time of like the entertainment has stopped, I think it's also good to have like this moment of political or just like critical analysis of what you enjoy. And the two of them are not incompatible, to be fair. But okay, that's enough about this. I got like trapped into some discourse, some online discourse, and that's really bad. Okay, so today we are playing Chants of Sennar. Okay, wait. When I first heard a performance of Elsa's procession to the cathedral and thought it was beautiful, then I did some research on the composer Richard Wagner. I think it's exactly that. It's like, is Wagner's music the worst to ever exist in the world? No. I don't like Wagner's music. I don't think it suits my taste, but it's not like, you know, it's not because of like his opinions and his positions that like the music is distasteful. But you can like find information in the broader context that is illuminating certain like aesthetic choices that he's making in his music. And you need just to be aware, you need to be aware of like the tension between the two. Again, as like Kelly said before, it's a transaction. It's always like an act of decoding. You're always decoding things. And the text doesn't like I have my position on like certain things and like I don't think it will change, but like the transaction is always like ongoing, right? You will always discover things that will make you reinterpret the things that like you have seen, you have read, or you have listened to before. And I think that like the death of an author is mostly to keep like your eyes and your mind like open to like further like information in this like sign network to continue like analyzing like text and so on, because we say like text, but like certain like author and especially like people like Foucault and all kind of like extended this idea of like, you know, the death of an author to like enunciation at a broader level. So it's not just like literary text, it's also like speech in general, and language in general. We won't go like into that because it becomes it's like very like highly like metaphysical and maybe like a bit too much for here. But the idea is always that you're like constantly deciphering things, and it's really about like keeping your critical thinking sharp at all time, or at least like never stop sharpening your critical thinking, your critical mind. And I think like the point of like what I'm saying today is like, because we all agree, right? Like if you're on my stream, I think that like we mostly agree about like the state of like engaging with like certain works. like the point I wanted to make today is that like we should probably stop, or at least people should probably stop to use like concepts by extracting them from nowhere and playing pretend about like what it means. I think one of the big example I have also is like all that is like related to Judith Butler. I think Butler is like a remarkable like writer, and she has like foreseen like a lot of things. She understood like a lot of things between the connection between the material world and like the gender identity, like your perceived identity, and how you navigate the tension between the two. And like gender is like a performance, but also gender is rooted in material thinking. But because people don't read Butler, they don't see that like she has a very like sharp idea of like the material world, and that like she is actually like not that far away from like materialist thinking. She's just adding like this layer of like identity to better understand like choices made by people, to give like agency back to people when it comes to their relationship with, you know, their own identity, their own gender. Because she understands that like gender is the same thing as sex, or that sex is the same thing as gender, whatever you want to in, you know, the cycle where you want to start it. But people think that like when you see people quote Butler on the internet, it's always for the identity thingy, and they kind of like ignore the material part because it's kind of like the difficult thing to understand about Butler. She's not an easy person to read, and so like most of like her work beyond like just the plurality of like identity is kind of like left on the side because it's too hard, so we are not engaging with it. But by not engaging with it, you're like hollowing Butler's like thinking of what is making it like very interesting. And I'm like, can we stop putting like words on, you know, thinkers' mouth to suit our you know, political beliefs or ideology. And I'm not saying that like, you know, all those like thinkers were perfect. Like I do disagree to some extent with some of the people that I take a lot of ideas from, but we should at least try to be honest with, you know, the things that we are quoting. I don't know. Sorry to drag you back into the topic as you were about to game. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And hi, Pico. I hope that like you are doing very, very well. Silly me, nothing is too much here. No, it's not that nothing is, something is like too much. It's that I want to play the game also. I will talk about also like history while I play the game. People don't read Butler, they read summaries. They don't even read summaries, I think. I think they read like literally what they want to read on the Wikipedia page. It's like you're not even engaging with a summary, you're not even engaging with a text. You are engaging with like, within a summary, the parts that you feel are appealing, and you're like ignoring the rest when it's a system that works like together, right? That's my problem. You cannot just take the parts that you like and discarding the one that, well, you can do that, but at least you need to like acknowledge that like there are parts that you don't like, and parts that like, you know, or doesn't fit. They don't fit like your intellectual approach. And that's what I do with like the thinkers that, you know, I read. It's like, oh, I really like this concept of, I don't know, biopower when it comes to Foucault, but like I don't like the rest. I like the idea of reproduction with Bourdieu, but I really don't like his approach to to feminism and to the place of men, because I think like it's quite you know, controversial. We need to be aware of like an author, like in everything that they gave, to be able to just take, you know, intellectually what can be useful, and to rebuild like a theory from scratch by using like different tools that are productive, and discarding and acknowledging what doesn't work, what is like outdated, and what is problematic. I think, like, for example, one thing that like I really dislike about like the okay, so it's not that I dislike this per se, is that I dislike one of the consequences of it. In the mid 2010s, there was like the rise of like, on a very like, you know, general scale, there was like the rise of a global scale, there was the rise of like intersectional politics, right? That you need to take like different parts of people's identity to understand that like their oppression comes from like a convergence of like different factors, right? And that was like a way to link, for example, for Black women, to link ideas of patriarchal oppression to racism, and to see that like those two things are interacting with each other to create something that is very specific. And that's great. I think that's a really, really good tool. We need to be aware of like those like polyform or very complex interactions, because they highlight specific context, right? But one thing that happened because of that is that like if they started treating, certain people started treating like oppressions as like a sort of pyramid and a competition, in that like, oh, I am more oppressed than you because I have, you know, there's misogyny, there's like homophobia, there's racism, there's like ableism, I don't know, like, you know, it starts to be a competition about like who has the most oppressions on themselves. And it's like it's not the point, right? It's like, it's not because like you only face, I don't know, let's say misogyny, that we shouldn't defend you when you're like experiencing misogyny. And I think one very like interesting moment for us that set us backwards like for so long, and we're still like embroiled in that, I think that most of like the issues we're facing at that time comes from that. Most of the issues from today comes from that, is the trial between Debt and am I a little bit cooked? What's her name? And Heard, right? Amber Heard. It's like, okay, so that was a joke. Like, I kind of followed the entire thing back then. And for anyone that like had followed the trial, it was really a joke of a procedure, especially with like the media coverage around it. And you had like feminists that were dunking on like Heard in such a violent way, because she was, you know, okay, she is a woman, but also she's white and she's like rich and privileged. So, you know, can we really trust her? Can we really trust this woman? And it's like, if through that trial, a rich woman, a rich white cis woman, cannot defend herself, is being seen as like, you know, the bad person in this case, if she cannot like receive justice for what happened, do you think that like people that are not white, not cis, not rich, will be able to like have a better chance to defend themselves when they will be like facing the same kind of like abuse and oppression? And the answer is obviously no. And like, we are living right now, like, we know that, you know, it's the discourse right now is trans identity. If we have let Amber Heard lose, if people, the general public, has let like Amber Heard lose, do you think that like they will rise for trans people? I let you meditate on this because I think like for me that was like the moment when Me Too became a joke. It's not about like Me Too anymore. It's about like what I deem acceptable. It becomes a way like for oppressed people, certain oppressed people, to decide like who was a good victim and who was not. This particular trial. And I think that like we're still recovering from it. And most of like what happened and is happening towards like women, the rise of misogyny and the rise of like transphobia is linked to this particular instant, to this particular moment when we did not like accept that basically like the perfect image of a woman, of a traditional woman, we did not accept that like she could be oppressed. And like we made like the traditional image like of a woman guilty, and that weakened the entirety of like the femininity construction. And well, it's a little bit cooked. So that's kind of like what I think is important right now, like to end like on a better, note. It's really about keeping your critical thinking always. It's always about like refusing to just like blindly, adhere to online discourse or whatever, and keep like being, smart and analyzing things like with a clear mind. Yes, probably like Amber Heard has like a way better life than like so many people, but that doesn't mean that she doesn't experience, and at that particular moment, she did not experience like misogyny. She did a lot. And if we are failing her, then we are failing everybody else. Because we say that like there are tiers of oppressions, and they are like better victims than the others. My oppression path is higher than yours. You should try using discrimination analysis to improve. But that's kind of like the problem. I think it's like the good thing. I'm not saying that like you cannot like get political thinking through internet and through discussion on like social media, but for me the big advantage of like a book is that like it will take time to read, right? You need to engage with it on a slow manner, and you will have like the time to digest what you're reading and to kind of like it will fuel like your own like analysis grid about things, instead of having this like very fast pace and kind of like hollow analysis that is not here for you to make an analysis. It's here to like convince you about like something, and like you don't have like to further your analysis of like particular subject. And I find that like a bit saddening, the same way I find like saddening some people that are watching, like 300 like films a year. It's like you're watching one film per day or more. Like there's no way like you're actually engaging with like what you're watching. Like you're it's consuming at that point. You're not letting like the work simmer, and you're not digesting it like in a way that is productive, I think. And that's, for me at the very least, that's like the antithesis of art. So yeah. Not dunking or anything, I'm just genuinely curious, what the Amber Heard trial a popular thing? Was the Amber Heard trial a popular thing, or like big in media? It was one of like the biggest thing back then, because we were still like in the height of like Me Too. And you had like a lot of discourse around it. And at some point, like the goal was that like, oh, she was as bad as like Depp, right? Like she was also like hurting him, she was like hitting him, and that like she's as guilty as she is. That was basically like the big thing, is that like she's not the perfect victim because like she basically fought back. And it kind of like completely, you know, nullified the grid of like, maybe, you know, there's also like misogyny and structural misogyny at play here. But the media was really portraying her as like, oh, she's as evil or more evil than Depp, and Depp is like the true like victim of like this case, right? We are like running his name onto the ground because like we are treating him as an abuser when the true abuser is her, basically. And that was like what medias was saying. And to like, in a very like weird twist, the certain feminists that were, you know, that believed her at the beginning started to like change their tune at some point. And you kind of like saw near the middle of the trial that like opinion had completely reversed on like the case. And that like, oh, Amber Heard is like really like the worst person of all time, especially because she was seen as like never crying, right? She was seen as very cold during the trial. And it was actually like a very big thing. Yeah. I guess it's like COVID for me. I don't have a memory of it because it didn't affect me as much. Why watch 300 films in 1 year when you can watch one film in 300 years plus 2? That's my situation right now. But yeah, it's enough discourse. I think I've yapped enough about that. You know, just... And that's the point of like the library, right? Just believe in your critical mind. Like, I think that like if you're here probably on this stream, I think that like you're people that are very open-minded, people that can like have their own like opinions about things, and that are very, you know, likely to do your own research about things. Just continue doing that. Like what I'm saying is just, you know, someone like yapping on the internet for fun, even if I try to be like serious at times. But you shouldn't like take what I'm saying for gospel. Just keep reading, keep doing your things, keep like being critical of everything. Don't trust people blindly, and do your work. And that's like the spirit of the library, is to make you interested in the world around you, so that you engage with him in like good faith, and with like a sharp mind. Okay. On that note, let me bring you to the game. So we are playing Chants of Sennar today. I've not tested anything, and I've not seen anything about the game except that like I know that it's about like deciphering hieroglyphs, but we'll kind of discover that together. I was interested in playing this game because I did my master's on ancient history. Well, it was like Greek history, but still ancient histories, and I had quite a lot of classes about philology, epigraphy, so the art of like reading, you know, inscriptions, and also like basically the history of language, to make things simple. And I wonder like how much I will like this game as like a historian that did that, you know, seriously for a few years. We are not here to listen to the head priest Miyabi preaches to them. No, because I'm in the ivory tower, but like you are the inverted ziggurat, and you are not like pegged to my teachings. You are literally, you know, on the opposite side of like the city, doing your own things. And I think it's really great because independence is an important thing on this stream. Okay, so I just don't know what it is all about, so we'll just go there. I don't know if the sound is too low. If it is, we'll see. The cult of the inverted ziggurat. I mean, what you do inside the ziggurat is not my problem. If you have like a head cultist or whatever, that's between you. So we'll just start a new game, I guess. So I want also to talk a little bit about like the history of like deciphering like hieroglyphs, especially like Egyptian hieroglyphs, because I think it's a very, very interesting topic, and maybe we'll see like aspects of it in here. I don't have a peg leg, so I'm immune to that statement. That's crazy. You can also choose to play with a controller. I will never. Bug orthodoxy. Oh, I can run. Why are we like so hunched, you know, like over like this? Like this is not very good for your spine. There's a big also like how is it called? Monument Valley like vibe to it. Click on an item to interact with it. I can do that. I can click. This journal will record all the glyphs you discover. To open it, click on the journal button. You can also open it by clicking directly on a text. When you think you have guessed the meaning of a glyph, you can click on it to note your hypothesis. To exit the journal, click on the close button. Okay, so immediately, thank you for the stretch check and for not making me as hunched as the protagonist. Okay, so immediately, like one thing that is very interesting to me is that those glyphs seems to be logoglyphs, meaning that they encode an entire like symbol, or like let's call that like an entire like word or concept, instead of being just like a phonetic alphabet, right? And I think it's something that is very like interesting to talk about like right off the bat for your own like knowledge. Many people, I think, that are not like familiar with like Egyptian hieroglyphs, I think many of them like believe that hieroglyphs are logographic language, an ideographic language, meaning that like every symbol that you see, each symbol represents like one concept, and that we are only encoding like a series of concepts next to each other. Like, you know, you have like, you would have like three symbols for like for example, dog, eat, apple, something like that. It's not the case in Egyptian. The biggest part of like the Egyptian hieroglyphic language is actually like a phonetic alphabet. Let's call it like that. You have like some semantic symbols, not semantic, but like symbolic symbols, but they are very, very rare. More often than not, like Egyptian uses like symbols to encode letters, and or sometimes entire like syllables. But it's not this idea of like a sort of like esoteric pure language that is just like visual and you can like know what it means just by looking at it, right? It's like, oh, the dog means dog, the bird means bird, and so on. Like this doesn't happen in Egyptian most of the time, and it was like actually an idea that like the ancient Greek people had. They thought that like Egyptian was kind of like this like very esoteric, very like perfect language, only encoding like concepts, when it's not. And we had to wait, you know, for I don't know, like so long until like Champollion started like working on hieroglyphs. We had to wait until like basically the start of like the 19th century to actually like refuse this idea of a primarily like ideographic language to accept the idea like of a phonetic language first. And hi, Sky. One-headed, four-legged, friendly, barking animal creature versus dog. No, because like, you know, I can't, I was not specialized in like Egyptology, so I can't remember like what the hieroglyph like or precisely, but I think like the bird means like it's the consonant H, I think, or something like that. It can have like the idea of like a bird, but that's very, very rare. Like Egyptian language is actually very interesting because like a sign can encode. We're not playing the game, by the way. The sign can like encode up to like 3 letters. They just don't put consonant, right? They only put consonant, but they don't put like the vowels between. So what they do to kind of like help you read and pass through their language is that they will like use what they call like a trilem. So a symbol that is like encoding like 3 consonant, but then they will still like add the unique letter for the second and third letter. So for example, like imagine that like there's a symbol that means like MTR. They will write like MTR with like this particular symbol, but they will then add like 2 symbols, one that means like T and one that means R, to kind of like repeat the information so that like you don't read the entire like series of like sounds wrong. And they have like other symbols that are kind of like mute characters. They don't like, they are not pronounced, but they kind of like give hints to what the word is about. Like if you have kind of like the symbol of a house at the end of a word, then it means that like the word, because it can have like different, like, you know, they are homophones, that the word is actually the one that is talking about like a position or about like a job. So they are guiding reading most of the time in this sort of like phonetic little puzzle that you have to solve. And it's really not about like, oh, the dog eat apple with like 3 symbol, meaning dog eating an apple. That's like an idea that like the ancient Greek had, and an idea that like stayed very strong for a very long time, but is actually a false idea of what like the Egyptian language is. Okay, so basically what we're doing is closer to like what the ancient Greek people were doing. So like one symbol, I think, is means like one concept, right? So I guess that like this is explaining like this lever. So probably like you should be like, I don't know. Wait, because I think that like you're opening the door, right? So I guess that the symbol here is not lever, is door, right? We can go with this assumption here. But also one thing is very interesting in like Champollion's method when he was like deciphering hieroglyphs was to say that the most important thing is to get like a wide enough corpus to be able to start and do like deductions. You need, when it comes to like deciphering a language, you need to get informations from another language that is known. And that's what happened with the hieroglyphs, right? People were actually able to decipher it by going through Greek and through language that were descending from Egyptian in one way or another. Greek was obviously well known to scholars of that time, and like the Rosetta Stone was in Demotic, right? It was written in Demotic language, but Demotic language was not known at that point, but had was close, at least sound-wise, to Coptic language. And this Coptic language, of course, was known because it was used it was transmitted to the modern period, of course. And it's by comparing those languages that with what you're trying to decipher that you can infer language. So here, I guess that the way they're asking us to transcribe thing is by using very visual actions as a bridge between those glyphs and our current language to make identification. So I guess this is door. I guess this is probably it can be up or down, but I guess it can be open and closed. We just don't know. Because our corpus of glyphs is so small, we can only make reasonable guesses, but we have to be very open to the idea that those things might be completely wrong, and maybe we'll find something that will completely change our perception of things. So wait, so no, this is this is open, right? When you're bringing it down. So this is close. But because I'm not sure, I will also put up. And so this can be door or this can be lever. Okay, so we'll just progress and we'll try to get more glyphs that will be able to refine our analysis of it. If needed, use the middle button to reveal all the interactive items in the surroundings. A pulsating white dot indicates items where something is still to be seen or done. Okay, so here we can see that our assumption about close and open was probably wrong to some extent, because those levers on the left look way closer to they give more meaning to the up and down choice that we also made. So we'll just do this, I think. Oh no, it can also be open and close for the water, right? So maybe that's still true. I'm going the opposite way of what I'm doing, to be fair. Wait, what am I doing? So here it's a little bit strange, right? Because if I go back, the Konami code +2. Wait, no. Am I crazy? Oh, I miswrote the thing. Okay. So you are open, right? It's open up and close down. So basically we just don't know, we cannot refine our understanding of the glyph, because close and down are actually two valid interpretations for this particular mechanism. So we still need to find more information to refine our deciphering. Drag each glyph into the slot that you think matches it. Okay, so that's kind of the very more gamey aspect of it. Is that they are already guiding you towards the correct meaning. When in fact, when you're doing transcription, there's no way that like you have like this perfect idea of what it is. So here it's probably easier because we have like a purely symbolic language. But again, you need to imagine that like back then they were just like seeing like for Egyptian hieroglyphs, they were just like seeing a series of like symbols, and they had to work with the assumption that like those were like syllabs or just like an alphabet, and it was like trying to understand like what every symbol was, like what letter it was encoding, by comparing it to other knowledge. And in the case of like Champollion, what he did was that he went into like Egypt a lot. He took like a lot of documentation, and he saw like names in I don't know how you call that in English, but basically in let me check, because it's a little bit important. Or they also call that like a cartouche in English. So you know that like if you see, okay, thank you Kelly for being here, and have a wonderful night. So you have like those cartouche, those like sort of like containers that are around like names in Egyptian, and mostly like royal names. You have probably seen it, in like popular culture and stuff. And Champollion saw those and was like, I know that those are royal names. Like it makes sense that those are royal names, or names like for divinities. And what he was trying to do was like checking documentation, historical documentation, when you had like one of those names, and also like a depiction of the divinity like near it, on top or whatever. And because he knew, like from a visual standpoint, that like this divinity, for example, was like, I don't know, Isis, he could like try to decipher like Isis in the cartouche by like giving to each letter a sound. And he did that for like a lot of different names, kind of like making mistakes and also refining like his understanding of like those like symbols as he discovered like new inscriptions and new archaeological like documentation. Cartouche, the parchment paper lid for sauces so that they don't get a skin on top. Yes, this is a very fallow coded stream, so we love our cartouche. Yeah, so the idea is that like because of like this system of deciphering on a phonetic language, you don't know if you're right? It's not a video game. You don't have like a little like sound effect when you're right and when you're actually like solving the mystery. You have to like run with like some assumptions that are false and have to correct them like along the way while you're doing it. So here the game is kind of like giving me the information that we are indeed talking about like open and close and a door and not a lever. But in real life, I would have like no information about that. I would run with the assumption that it can be about a door, but it could also be about a lever. And I would need like to find similar glyphs in another like context to make sure to verify that like my idea is correct. And there's something very interesting with like Champollion. It's because there was a race for like deciphering the hieroglyphs at that time. And his main rival was Thomas Young. And Thomas Young's method was very much based on, wild guesses for like half of like what he did. He did like he wrote like an article called Egypt that was trying to like give meaning to like some hieroglyphs. And at least half of like his guesses were wrong, because he went into a very like symbolic approach that we know is wrong. And Champollion wrote like kind of like mentioning Jung, or kind of like alluding to him, that like his method was to never guess and always demonstrate. And that's the basis for like deciphering. We should never take things for granted. We should like bake our deductions in like a series of like logical constructions that are making a reading almost surely like exact. Correct. But there would be no, guesses like we're doing here with like this journal. But also that this is, this is a video game, so I'm okay with it. Kind of the question I'm interested about is like, what is the is it like a purely like written language, or do people also speak like this? Okay. So we have like different thingies, right? Again, I will go with the assumption that like you can map a unique word to every glyph, right? So we can probably go with the assumption of like hello or you. Like this is too hard to have like any idea it could be though. So this is very funny because again, like as in a video game, because you're like an exterior observer, they are giving you the language through glyphs, right? But for us, for like this character, that would be impossible to decipher, right? Because he would only have sounds. They would only have sounds. And you need to map, like you cannot know, like even from like those first things that we saw, we just don't know how it's pronounced by, people. And that's like in real life, another layer of difficulty when it comes to deciphering. You need to like also like handle the phonetic part of the decipherment. And more often than not, because we know that like languages are evolving and they're like influencing others, unless like a language is just dying without like having any influence. We are trying to take like words that are pronounced similarly in two different languages, the language we're deciphering and the unknown language, and trying to make like equivalents to guess the meaning of certain things. And that we're not doing that in here because it's a video game and they're showing us the glyphs like immediately. Okay, so they want me, they want me to like open a door. We could, I don't know what he was saying before. That could be please, right? Because he said that like the three last glyphs. It could be please, but it's hard to say. Hi Nami, hi. I hope that you're doing very well. So we don't have like any other things. Can we talk more to get like more maybe glyphs or whatever? So that's probably not please, right? Because he is again using like open door, but this, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. No, that's you, right? I open the door. So that's hello. I think that's hello. That's probably like U. And this is probably I. And this is probably like a verb, but I'm not sure about what it could be.
Hey.
So we have a new one. It cannot be end because like if it's end here, it doesn't connect. It wouldn't connect with like a single thing. Okay, so again, they are like kind of like hinting us like to the solution, right? In a way that like is like you wouldn't be able to be sure of like those elements like right off the bat, in my opinion. So it seems that they have like no real conjugation, right? It can be follow, go up maybe. Or it can be like thank also. Because we don't know how like things are ordered in that language. So I don't think it's end. I think it might be help, but it's that's a wild guess, to be fair. I like the music though. I think it has this very like nice vibe when you solve like a puzzle. You open the door. You help me. Maybe, we just don't know yet.
Oh.
Okay, so I can open the door.
Hey.
That can be
Oh.
continue.
Hey.
Okay, so this is probably just go. Or advance. That will be a more reasonable assumption. I think they also, this is very funny that like they seem to keep to some extent English like syntax to not be like too hard. But I wonder like if you play this game like in another language that is not following like the subject, verb, like object order, how difficult it is. Like for example, for like if you were to play in Japanese, how much of it would be a struggle? So you will ask me to close the door. You help me. Oh yeah, okay. Because I need to do that like all by myself. Wait, but I cannot cross if I do that. I cannot cross if I do that. Oh no, there's a gate here. I didn't see the gate on the other side. So yeah, we just have to close everything basically. And now we can go back and open this one. Wait, yeah. It should, right? Everything should like flow and just disappear. Help, I think, is correct. Because we're doing so much that like he could not give like any clear instruction beyond just like, you know, help me, do it for me, something like that. So we can do this, and then we open like this gate like on the bottom left, and all the water should drain. Okay. Hi Sky, hi Nami. Wait. Oh, because it's greetings in general. Okay, okay. So again, that's like something that we wouldn't be able to exactly like, it would require one more level of like deduction to understand that like it's a greetings in general and not just hello, right? Very Zelda-esque sound effect here. Also, did I miss like the... No, okay, there was nothing more to do here. So we have like symbols here. It's very funny, but there's no phonetic things, right? This is also a typical situation for like decipherment, where you have like some text and you have like an iconography, an image like next to it that is kind of like, you assume that it would give some information about like the text. But that's also making the assumption that like the text and the image are completely linked, which we cannot be completely sure of. Will this glossary be on the curriculum's test, seeing as these people seem to be puzzle masters? Probably, to be fair. I mean, the question is like, why are we here? How much like is this game like a Tower of Babel reference? Well, we see people like probably praying, right? They are like kneeling, and they might be asking for rain, but it's really hard to guess. Like you see that like the crops are kind of like withering. That might be because there's like too much sun and they are like waiting for rain, but we just don't have like any information. Okay, so here they are like doing... They are asking, praying for the sun or whatever. We could probably make a first like guess that this is the sun. but that's a very like open a very open guess. Also, one very interesting thing that like is also a trait of like Egyptian like hieroglyphs is that you can see here they consider like those L, those like small L, well, very tall L, as like one full character, which is interesting because they don't fit. You know, they are. There's what we call the quadrant. If you know like you know Chinese, Japanese, or whatever, you know that there's the concept of a quadrant. So like your character should fit like in a quadrant, like in like a square that can be divided in like 4 quadrants, and every character should completely fit in that. So the character has basically the same size. Every character has the same size. It's not the case in Egyptian, and in this game, you can have like characters that are only taking, for example, the 2 leftmost like quadrants, and be completely like empty on the right quadrant, on the right like quadrants, and that would still be like a full character. And I think this is the case here because it's only, you know, 2 quadrants like tall, but it doesn't extend like on the side. When you see that the rest of like those characters, they fit nicely into like a square. Quadrants are so radical. It's hard to guess the rest though. We have to see a little bit more, I think. So we find back this like LL like thing. That could be like people. That could be like a person. And when you put like 2 of them, it means like people. That would be like an easy assumption. It's people and sun. Or maybe not sun. We just don't know. We just lack too much information, I think.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh.
Okay, you don't have anything else to say. So I need to decipher like those things. I wish we would also like have we would have like we could take like pictures of like those like murals or drawings of those murals, because like having to go back and forth, I think this is like very inefficient. I could take screenshots though. A good assumption here would be tower. One thing I'm kind of like curious about is maybe like this, if we go with the assumption that like the L is like a person, this could be a mask, right? Like the little symbol here. That could be people with mask. It could be even priest. So we'll call that mask, people, maybe priest. That could be go. I guess they're making the plural just by putting like 2 of the same characters together, right? Okay, so this is like a good example of like we already have like some information, and it gives like, it will like restrict the possible meaning for the rest of the characters. Here we still go with the assumption that like 2 similar characters mean that it's plural, and because of the picture we can infer that like it is probably like armed people / guards. But the guards closed the door. Okay. So you are the guard, you are the priest, you are just a person, and you should be the tower. Oh, it's not the tower? Okay, so they wanted the sun. Okay. God also works. Again, I think it's like it would be too wild of an assumption to believe that it's God. Like there's literally nothing that like hints to the fact that like this symbol means God. Because it was like seen in the sun, but it's not because like it's in the sun that like it means that, you know, it's the main divinity or the sun divinity. You don't have any idea of like what the culture of those people are. Even like if we saw like a little bit of the murals, and I think it's what prompted, especially when we talk about like Champollion, when he finished like his transcription, well, you know that Champollion kind of like died in the middle of his work, very young, at age like 41, I think. He got like sick and he died while he was like writing his grammar of Egyptian hieroglyphs. But like he wrote that like his study of like hieroglyphs kind of like needed to be backed by a study of like Egyptian civilization. Because to understand like the language, you have to understand and apply the same method of like deduction and scientific like inquiry to this civilization as well. To not just think that like Egyptian civilization is a civilization of like mystery and like occultism, but really like a society that was functional and that like had codified rules and complex interactions. And here we would need to like have more indication that like this is the sun. This was not, in my opinion, this is a god. This was not enough information, in my opinion, to make like this assumption. Warrior feels like okay, but also here we are also reducing knowledge and signification to a single like definition, right? Because warrior is not the same thing as like guard. And again, we are, by closing like other possibilities, in real life, maybe we would be like too conservative and we would like lose some nuance in our reading of the text. It's very important to always stay very open about like what meanings can be, because you'll find like very fine nuance at every level of the sentence. Devotee, again, like what kind of like information had we to be sure that like it is, you know, just devotee and not a priest or something else? But we can kind of like go back to this, I guess, and probably say that like this symbol here might be like seek or follow, something like this. Yeah, devotees. So they have confirmed that two symbols meaning it becomes plural. That's very. There can be like a lot of like different words for like that picture. That can be like Overwatch. It can just be shine. It can be lead. We just don't like have any information. Okay, so a wild guess, and we need to like understand that it's a guess, is because we have plural. The only thing that is like in multiple parts is the plants, right? So I'll go with the assumption that like this is plant or crop, and that is die or lie down in a very like symbolic reading. I mean, to some extent, we need to like we do agree that like those are also visual like representations of things, right? Like it makes sense that it's a human, the way it stands like it stands like tall. This looks like a seed with like, you know, the that is starting to bloom, and it seems like someone like kind of like lying down. So it kind of like in a very like abstract sense could mean like die, wither. This also looks like a tower, I guess. And this we just don't know. Like we also find like the same, you know, human symbol and the two, or like these two symbols that serves maybe like at the second person or something like that. Although there's like this like, you know, kind of like roof or whatever that like is a modifier for human to mean me, and I don't see why. The society that separates its devotees from its warriors will have its thinking done by cowards and its fightings by fools. She is completely crazy. What the heck? Okay, well, we just lack information to continue like doing inferences, so we'll just like try to continue a little bit. Okay. So in a very like we know this. This is literally like deciphered, and it gives like information to this. So what I think is that like this little symbol here is like the negation symbol. I'll say cannot also, but cannot feels like it's an advanced like construction, right? You're giving like the potential verb like can, and you're like adding a negation on top. So it feels like two steps. But the negation feels likely. Warrior, okay. Oh, I guess it's like you need to choose like it's a luck game where you need to choose like the card that is the strongest, right? So I'm winning again because like God is like, you know, stronger than anybody else. And the devotee is stronger than a human. Okay. So it just gives like that was giving us like a little bit of an overview of like this society, right? It doesn't help us to understand like the language, but it gives like some civilization or cultural pointers that can be useful when we'll do like further inferences. Which is why like all those like disciplines, right, are very interconnected. You cannot just do philology. You also need like to do like anthropology, history, and so on to be able to decipher like a language in a very like comprehensive way. You can actually pet the cat. So this is probably like the square probably means that like as in like the pair symbol in Egyptian, the symbol of a house, it probably means like a location on something. And then you have like things inside. I'm not sure it's like the tower, like 2 towers inside, but it's probably like, you know, a shop or something like this. We just need to see what's inside. Can we talk? No. Okay, so we just don't know what we have here. A desert. Okay, I can follow you. Okay, they're kind of like highlighting critical dialogue through here, I guess. Or those like little like signs or whatever. I kind of want to follow you, but for that, like, I need to know where you went. You found me, maybe? Well, let's follow the kid further, I guess. I kind of want to talk to them. Maybe we'll get like some words first. So the Tower of God, us. You help us. I think we can infer like, oh, this is a different script now. Okay, so there are different languages. That's why maybe like they don't understand each other. Okay, this is just the Babel Tower, right? They cannot proceed because we don't speak the same language. So there's like this like sort of like, I guess, hieratic or very like religious language that is different from like the warrior caste. But unfortunately, we just cannot guess anything for now. So let's just go back and follow the kid. Okay. Are we just playing like hide and seek or? I think no. Exactly. The message is very clear, but like it's very hard to like determine what like the individual words mean. Because it could be like, you know, you cannot go in the tower, or it could be like, I will murder you. Oh, what is this? So I think, you know, as much as I'm trying to be critical here, I think what the heck? It feels like another language as well. I like, you know, the kind of balance that they found between it being a game and also like being some sort of like decipherment, more serious decipherment like thingy. You help me, the turn has been... I cannot. Good soldiers follow orders. Me, negation, seek. I think that my seek or follow is probably wrong. This feels like it feels like the weakest like element in our deduction here. That could be want, to be fair. That could be want, I think. Because it's like the devotees wanted their gods, right? The 5 dots in a cross is a chariot, I think. Not sure for Dynamo +2. So I'll go with the assumption that like it's seek want more than anything else. Because I think like the person was kind of like saying that, right? I think you were saying something and it would fit with want. Yeah, I want to go in the tower, right? You help us. So we'll find like the kid, wherever they are. Are we still doing like hide and seek? I cannot. I go there basically, but we don't know. So this is like a strange thing. I cannot play more, but like we just don't know, right? A progging Nell, minimum eye level. Oh, that could be hide as well. So find is pretty clear. I go. I guess this is here, right? Like I cannot hide. No, it's not. What did he? I can't remember what he was saying. What they were saying at the end. Wait, can I have like again the? Okay. I cannot. I don't. I go. I don't hide, right? Wait, who is the subject of the action here? Is it me? Because it could be seek, right? But that feels like also a bit weird. Okay. Seek, want, fine, go, pass. Okay, I think it was like a bit unclear that like the symbol was not on the symbol should have been on the left, right? Because it felt like the subject of the action was the little kid. are you Mario Karting? You're just like talking about like mechanics in 14. I'm losing my mind. Okay, so we kind of like solidified our knowledge. You and me, we go in the tower. It's also very funny that like they have this more specialized us, right? Because they can like use you and me as like a more precise us compared to like when before the devotee was saying like me. To say us, but like excluding, you know, the protagonist. This could be C and also looks like an I, so I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, sound. Okay, so this is the other side of like the building, right? Where we went. Some areas must be crossed without being noticed. Hover over a hiding place until the silhouette appears, then click to go there. Oh, like this? Okay. I don't know why we are doing this, but let's go, I guess.
There.
We cannot like enter the tower, the devotee closed the door. And we need to search for the key, I guess. Like key makes sense, right? Thankfully, that was literally like put on a shelf. You can observe your item closely and rotate them. I love that, by the way, in games. Rotating object, I think, is like one of my biggest pastime. So you found the key. It could be enter, right? Cannot, no, cannot. I just don't know what like this verb means, to be fair. I don't read books, I rotate them. Well, it's probably better than just people putting like books, you know, on their coffee table. And also I've learned that like some people just like use false books, you know, to put on their like coffee tables. Those are not even books. Those are like just like boxes that are meant to look like books. So they can fill their like bookshelves and decorate their places. And when I discovered that, I was baffled. You and me, that could be a lot of things. That's a bit annoying because like in my head it looks like the other part of like the go character, like to go somewhere in Japanese. So I'm like always tempted to think that it means go, but I should like try to separate my knowledge of like other languages because I think it's like misleading me. Okay. So this is the negation, right? Oh, that could be flee, I guess. But that we just don't know. Wait, is this... no, this is okay. So it means like... there you go. This is escape, right? Leave. It can be leave. And go up. You two are my two only verbs, right? I wasn't able to complete you because I felt like I was lacking information. That could be leave, and that could be go up, right? Or the opposite? Okay, no. There's something wrong in here. This is an action, right? They want... like those are all... those two like are both actions, I feel. Because that means like to go up, right? Am I missing something? Like this feels like the negation. Key, C. I feel like this might be leave, right? I'm just not sure about like the up part. Oh, so that was like a different like meaning that I had, right? Wait, but how does that make sense with like the first mural that we found? But I guess it's a bit like more understandable. If you have a grate, then like it makes sense here being like the house of the greats, right? It can be like... I'll just call that like great house for now, but it can be palace, it can be like any place of power, right? Where great people congregate to. I could hide, I guess, but like... I don't exactly see how... what's the point, or how like hidden you can be when you just don't have the same clothes. The house MD spin-off, the great house plus 2. They don't have to be discreet, right? Very strange, like east, western, like mix of western, like architecture and like more West Asian ones. That could be protected though. Kind of like what we saw like before. Protect oversea, I don't know. Ah, my favorite kinds of puzzles. But that will take like 2 million years to solve now. I love Professor Layton, by the way. It's also like a little bit annoying because the protagonist is like walking so slow that like it's taking so much time to... Wait, I need to put like I'll move that like out of the way south. You, I think you need to go like here. But I don't think it's possible, right? Because like you will always be like in my way. I could move that. What am I missing here? No, okay. I'm just like a little bit slow, sorry. I could like move that to the left and it like gives me enough space to move those things like to like below. And now I can move you here. And I can push like this one up. Oops. That was a lot of busy work. Incident. Wait, I can... Okay, I want to move you here. I thought I wanted to go like in there, but I haven't done PS8. P8S, sorry. Ooh. God. See human. Devotee seek God. God. Devotee seek God. Man. So we have a new word, but like I think it's a little bit too obscure. Again, to give some meaning to it. It's advisable to stay on that path. You know what? You're very right. So we cannot go up. It was just to get this coin, I guess. Yeah, it can be coin. There are instruments. So I guess this might be sell, right? This is too vague to know what she's talking about. There's this like idea of trade. This is the thing we saw like on the coin, right? So God, it can be have, God, have, man, and devotee seeks God. This is a bit weird, but it can be coin, it can be money. It's a bit hard to say. Sap, what are we talking about? The symbol is a bit similar to here, which makes sense if it's help though, because you have like two like circles connected to each other. Also, one thing that is pretty clear now is that like if you have like a small bar like on the bottom, it's probably a verb. Just your way of saying sup. So I hope that you're doing very well, Jacamnesia. Which probably doesn't mean lie or down, right? Because it's not a horizontal bar per se, so it cannot be a verb. I don't know. This one can be have, I think. We need more. There's also this symbol here, like of a small like C on the left, which we find in here, but I don't know what it exactly means. We have like door, key, okay, so is it related to... Is it for object? Is it when we're talking about like... No, because if it's cropped, then it doesn't make sense, right? It has to mean something, it's probably a modifier, but I cannot guess what that means. So this is like a sort of alchemy shop or whatever, so I'll check that later. Key, okay. And then we have like this with a thing for plant. God have men, devotees seek God. There's a yaoi harem on the other side, so true. You won't. It can be. Wait, but you. It's literally like pots, right, or vase. So how would that be related? I mean, we can go with the assumption that like it's pot or vase. So help me, potion seller. I need only your strongest symbolic yaoi. Where's your yaoi potion? Okay, so I guess they want to say that like this is the instrument, right? I don't know what is this though. What is this referring to? Like music? Wait, that's coin, right? Or trade, whatever. So this is pot. This has to be like sound or music. Wait, I need to check like so this feels like instrument, right? Okay. But you have to be sound. Let's call that like potions for now. That's coin, maybe. Let's go with the assumption it means have. But I don't have music, what? Am I crazy? Pot. Anger. Puzzle masters sing the sound of music for the first time. I'm sorry, I don't have like the vision. Why also is this like Citon completely like, broken in half at the top? What is going on? Do I have music? Am I crazy? Is it sound? It looks like smoke or whatever. Am I insane? What if the coin is music? Me sell instrument, you? have. We don't know if it's have, to be fair. Like have is, I think it's a very. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You're fine. I don't know if it's like again. I think have is kind of like a stretch already. Like we just don't know about this. The lute is smoking from the fire bangers coming out of that thing. What the heck is she talking about? It's just very abstract. I think like it feels like it's talking about like music, but is this really the case? We can continue to explore, to be fair. Like we don't have like to solve that immediately. Or maybe we do, I don't know. Wait, can we go to the right? Let's explore here. Ah. I'm not sure that it means like die or lie down, to be fair. I think it's like the first, like this is the third like time that we see like those sequence of like 3 symbols, and it starts to be a bit like weird. This thing like it could be caretaker of like or if it is of a sea, then it has to like modify in a very similar way, right? Because here you have like man of God, so devotee. It could be like man that oversees or protect. I don't know, but it's not warrior, so could be caretaker. You have the seed into like a house, which could mean like the yeah. But why would that be pot though? That's the thing. Why would that be pot or vase? Like when it's actually like. Because it has to be plant or crops, right? I don't know. Make house sound, I'm just like leaving the game. I think we need a little bit more information. That could be a cemetery, right? Temple. And let's say garden. I'm not sure about that. That can just be like inn or something like that if we say that it's lie down or whatever. Let's go to there though.
Hey, you.
You help me. What do you want? Well, take it. We're just losing our have thingy, but it's okay. You great man. Me? That can be give, right? No. That's thank. That might be thank though, no? You thank, you have, you... Because she said after like, she says instrument and like, do you? Oh. We just don't know. The component of some device can be... Oh wait. Oh, so this is the puzzle about like who is like better than the others, right? Train tracks on grid lines with numbered box, shadows on black spheres or sold by foxes, peons that manage to topple white kings. Those are a few of my favorite things. What the heck? It goes too far. It goes too far. Let's talk to those people. Oh wait, that can be music, right? No, you're right. Because this is like a modifier for the tool, right? So this is music. I think you're right. But then it doesn't make sense. I think that might be the issue here. So that's music, but like that's pot. But that would make sense, no? What the heck? What if it's not a pot? It can be seed maybe, but like he was selling seeds. Maybe that can be the verb of like what. No, but we don't have like any words that are. But that can be like though. God likes man, right? Chamber pot. What it is have create. Wait, but like this one here? Sorry, there's a delay. But this one has like it has like a symbol like for objects, right? Key, door, instrument, the have symbol. Okay, so it can be you create music. Yeah, I think like think is probably, but like no, I think it's like, because like the beggar was saying that like me, you. So I like you, right? Like you're a great man, I like you. I still put like create as like a possible like meaning. But I think it's like you like music, like I sell instruments, you like music. I think here we just like, it's a bit weird that like we don't have. I don't subscribe to great man theory. Plus 2. Because are we talking about the pot, or are we talking about like the action here that like he's making a pot? So no, that's not create, right? I don't know. We'll like leave that for now and we'll come back to that a bit later. My theory was wrong. It's okay. That's like the point of deduction, right? We need to find like more information. I think it's like makes like a lot of sense, right? God likes you, he protects you by like, you know. Oh, I just don't have the key for that, right? Big meanie. Who's the big meanie? There's no big meanie on this stream. We're just having fun. Let's go and continue to that like building tower, whatever. The society really like their pots. You know what? Understandable though. Okay, this is like a weird looking door though. We need like a weird key for the weird door. Imagine having like a, you know, in your yellow word, you just have like a purple like door like this. Isn't this like a little bit like ominous? Okay, so we were like temple maxing. Okay, do you have like more information? He's not in the garden, right? Like it could be gardener here, which would make sense. But there's like a water thingy here that like I don't like. Me not find gardener, no, and they die. Oh yeah, okay. And I don't like when the plants are dying, right? So that makes sense. Clean minimum, like mushroom risotto. What are you talking about? Okay, let's enter the temple. No, they don't talk. They have made a vow of silence. Me? Oh, you have like two verbs, but like it makes sense because want is like a model, right? This is very funny also because I just cooked like a mushroom risotto yesterday. Huh. What is... that might be... Wait. Is this... If it's like of a sea, maybe it can be king, something like that, no? It can be king, priest, like a person of power, right? I'll put gardener as like the very last option. I'm just trying to out whimsy the Wednesday. Okay, no, you are like the king, the priest, right? Like gardener seems with that this seems like a very like unlikely option. I'll put like king priest. We can put archon as well. King, priest, archon. Bet those mushrooms were only tasty and edible. Imagine. Oh wait. So we have you as the overseer. I think it's dead and that should be plant, right? Surprising if it's not the case. Okay. I wonder if it's like because it's also like a horizontal bar. Is that like no? Because it's death also, so it can be a noun. Huh? We just don't know. Who is making those like noises? What the heck? There's a procession of. We just don't know what. No, but like nobody. There's no way you can like sneak in like this. Okay. Oh, we just like too much things, right? Oh, the preacher. God like. devotee, right? But like we kind of like need something here. I guess those symbols will come useful for later. All mushroom are edible even if it's only once per person. I think like Ellie knows a thing about that. I don't know. It feels like the thing that we had on the coin, but I also think that like we are missing a little bit of information. Are you just making like some sort of... Oh no, I can follow here. I trust Ellie completely for all mushroom related topics. You should not! You should not! Okay, we were lacking just too many things here. There's no way we can solve this. We'll come back to that later, I think. Although I don't think there's much more like we can solve. Like, what are we missing right now? There's still like the pot music instrument like situation that like is a little bit confounding, but... Oh, you want some help again? Wait. Eh. The key is in the... Okay. The key is in the pot. You're seeking the preacher. You go in the garden. The preacher likes the garden. Okay. We can do that. Wait, also where is like this like exit leading? France seems to very base and cool with their mushroom identification service. It's true though. It's very true. Oh wait, this is new. This is the inn thingy, right? No, this is the cemetery we say. Holy. The worst that could happen is that I become part of the Mycelium. Oh, this is again the weird screen, right? There's nobody on the other line. Oh, this is the fast travel thingy, I guess. We just don't know what those mean, but I guess those are like our fast travel thingy room. Okay, so you're indeed a cemetery, right? So that is the temple. That's the cemetery. That's the garden. And I don't exactly know what... Like the great house, the palace, something like this? The abbey, okay, very good. I think the House of Great was a little bit better, but I can accept. Okay, so indeed we have the cemetery here. Oh, we need to go back in the garden to break like the vase or whatever. You are seeking God? Question mark? The church will help you. That's the way they are saying that is a little bit crazy though. House of grated cheese. Wait, we're just turning things around. The eye seeth. God sees us. Yes, okay. So, this is like, probably. Oh, wait. So this is C. Ah, so this is like speak, right? This was not of a sea, like God speaks to like men. And this is help. There's a puzzle here, but I think we are lacking information to do that. I mean, I could be like very like... We can kind of brute force maybe the puzzle. What if we turn like every character towards like the eye of God, of course? And then the last one, we just like try every different like possibilities. God only speaks to when it's supposed to be theory. We might be missing something here. I'll be very honest, we might be missing something here. We'll come back to that later. I mean, we had like a very interesting thing with like the talk thingy. I think like it will give us a little bit more information. I don't know. Let's go to the garden, let's break a vase or something. Black and... That's you, right? A lot of... Not a lot, but some cats. Wait, where was the key for... Is it like, Am I crazy? Where was the door for like this key? Oops. Is it here? Yes, okay. Good. I think like I'm not solving like all that I could, but it is what it is. Ah! Potion. It could be medicine also. Me find... Is it I? No. That would be too simple. Ivan God? That could be the lens, right? I'm going to the cemetery, I'm going up. The preacher. So this has to be the lens or whatever. It can be lens, it can be eye. Okay, so you're potion. You're the pot. Okay, so there was like another... Oh, that was cell, maybe. Or maybe this is not... Oh, you're... Okay. So your create thing was not completely incorrect, Sigrid. I think that this is not cell. This has to be make. And I'll keep like cell as like the last definition, but I think this is like make. And we can like verify that immediately, right? Yeah, that's create. Okay. And so here we have the lens and we have the key. Very good. Oh, we have translated the entire language. They don't have any more words in their language. That's done. Their entire language has been solved in an hour. I mean, we know that like he went to the cemetery, but I don't think like we have. Do we have everything? It feels like. Wait, let's talk to him.
Hey, you.
The apex of linguistics. I don't think we can solve that. Or was this the wait, let's try to mingle with them. Was Babel language speedrun also slow? Okay, let's try to solve those things. Because it looks like the thing for the lens, right? The man looks at the devotee. Oh wait, can we guess like without using the lens? I kind of want to see. The devotee looks at God. Linear being in afternoon. So true. It's that easy. That could be like that could be the title of the next video, right? Solving linear B in an afternoon. God looks at... No, I don't know. Oh, it's actually that? What is the instrument? It starts to be like a little bit like warring, right? The preacher talks to the man. Okay. Oh, okay. That's how we solve the thing in the symmetry, right? One devotee, please. What is the deva tea? Is it like a tea made by the deva, or is it like tea made from the deva, though? Oh, that's literally the joke you made, sorry. I go to India to drink an exalted being simmered in hot water. Sorry. I only read like the end of the joke. I want some tea right now. Okay, well, you are the man, right? So you need to look at the devotee. That's what they say, right? Like the devotee, the devotee look at God and look God. Okay, so you need to look at men. Devales. E for the stillness. What are we talking about? I don't even know. And then we can just try until we find like the instrument. Okay. Wait, he was lying. Like, what do you mean I go up? This is literally going down. Oh. A stick? Okay. Oh no, this is like my dungeon crawler. I cannot interact with a bottle. A torch. Do I need to take like a piece of paper to start doing some mapping? I can do that, but I'm also a bit lazy, you know? Oh, he's dead? The Preacher's Fate. Bro fell down, by the way. Well. That's your fault for like navigating in the dark. Why would you break your lantern as well? Is there more exploration, or should we just tell like the people that you know? He died. Time to play Torchbearer. Okay, so probably we can like cross the pond or whatever was on the other side. Can I find my way back? Yes. Oh, we're speedrunning. We don't have like any time. He's jogging. Oh, we are on the other side. Ha. Imagine not being in the tower. Imagine not going in the ivory tower. Perfect. Alexander is perfect for a reason. We didn't really help the devotee though, right? We just left them to their, you know, own things. Wait, we should stop playing at some point, right? Oh, it has like well, first of all, like a Mobius, but also like this scene at the end of like The Boy and the Heron, right? Oh, this is a bit foreboding. Oh no, the warriors again. Oh, but we're starting from nowhere here. Is it you? It sounds like the sentence, like they have been starting also like the guns, like you cannot, you don't enter, you, Maybe this is you. Very like bold assumption, but... Okay, so this is funny because like this was a slightly logographic language. You could see how like the symbols were still like indexed a little bit on their like original drawing counterparts. But here I think they have evolved into a more like abstract system, kind of like at the, maybe at the verge of like making an alphabet. That can only be one and it's not me. Okay, anyway. That could be God. That could be a lot of things. We'll hold for now. Well, probably we cannot like, you know, go there like... Ah! Ah! Okay, I guess I'll be a bit more discreet, right? We have like 1 million like words in here. Holy heck. Wait, is it a translation? Warriors don't like death. Death loves warriors. So true. You... is it like a... Okay, so this is like a straight translation of the text, right? So very good example of what you would do is like using a noun language to kind of like compare it with like your target language. So here we can correct by saying that like it's indeed warrior. Wait, no. That's okay, so that's the pluralizer, right? Because we find the same thing in here. So that's like not. That should be like. And you are death, right? Okay, interesting. Because you see here what we start to have like in languages where we kind of like exit the realm of like the pure logographic elements to start having like semantic elements. Like this doesn't mean anything. This last symbol doesn't mean anything like on isolation, but it serves to like modify the sentence. Or at least like an element of language. Here, warrior, right? Instead of like doing like the double symbol like we had in the devotee language. We love warrior pluralizer. Are we fighting? Will we fight like the warriors? Some glyphs can be linked to the equivalent glyph of another language, even if it's not translated. It's possible to validate the link from one glyph to another without having translated the original one yet. What are they talking about? Okay, but like it means that like you're translating in the end, right? Okay, so no, okay. Not. Are we doing a mistake here? Death loves warrior. It's possible to validate the link from one glyph to another without no. E? E? My chat is 214 pilled right now. I'm not sure about like what is wrong in here. Because those are all the symbols that were warrior. think I would be surprised if it's not the pluralizer thingy. Not like death. You have to be like, right? Because we find you like at the bottom as well. Death loves warriors. Death like warrior, plural. I don't know. It doesn't matter that much, to be fair. We can like wait a little bit. Let's activate the fast travel thingy. Wait, should we write the translation of that? Oh, wait. Because I was like going on with the assumption that like it's No, that doesn't make any sense. Because we are considering that the syntax is always the same, that it's always like subject, verb, complement, like object. But maybe it's not the case. Although I'm not sure it would make any sense, like, if it wasn't the case. You are necessarily like the not thingy. I would be surprised if like it was like the opposite here. No, it has to be what the heck? I don't know. I don't know. And we don't know yet. We need more information in here. Let's continue. Maybe I'll understand. I should also, this is also like a very good like methodology. If I don't understand, I need to like move on immediately. Again, the goal is to get like a big corpus before doing anything else. What are we trying to do here? Aren't we a little bit crazy? What about the historical like soldiers at the bottom? It could be a passive language, but I was thinking about that. Warrior, do something. Warrior, do something. Stop and go, no? It could be stop and go. It could be March, I don't know. Slightly weird. I feel like I'm missing something. Here is like slightly problematic though. Okay, that's our problematic moment. Because we have like a pluralizer that doesn't seem to work, right? I thought this was like a modifier, but maybe it's not. Ah, wait. Maybe they don't have plural. I think they don't have it. Wait, no. Warrior likes. But you can't have this as a verb, right? It has to be like a. They don't start a sentence like they started a sentence many times with like warrior. I was thinking that like maybe it's a verb, but that doesn't make sense if it's a verb. I'm almost tempted to think like that those things here with like the sort of like arrow pointing down, that's their like symbol for, that's like the group of words for verbs. I don't know why it would start like this. That could be God now? That could be, instead of like just a pluralizer, that could be also all. Everybody. That could be God though, no? I don't know. This feels like God, I don't know. Everybody. No, I don't know. Is this the same? He's telling them to stop and then to march, right? So we could like infer that like, and this is like march. But going back to the group, it has to be a verb, no? Everybody joins? No. Wait, am I like... Oh, okay. I might have like mistaken like the two here. No, okay. That makes sense, but that I don't know. Could it be both? Like warrior group do this, group do that could work. It's not... Yeah, maybe it's... I think it's like a very like broad like pluralizer, to be fair. It's just we cannot like identify like those like two elements and it's too wide. We have like too many possibilities to try to infer anything. And let's leave that for later then. Crazy angle. Also lizard. Wait, if we go down, we'll get like... Oh, they're not here, okay. Man, there's like so much to explore in here. Lizard. Okay, so again, like the door to, you know, the end of times. We should leave that for later. We could sneak in, but do I really want to go there Wait, there's like some writings there, no? I wouldn't be surprised if like this is like barracks or something like this. Or house, maybe. Let's check that later, and we'll take a look at like the last thing before like pushing forward. It doesn't do anything. What kind of like weird contraption is this? So okay, I think like we have a good idea with the verbing like kind of like fitting in those like downward arrows or whatever. But I fear that like we lack a little bit of information to really go further. I'm surprised by the shield still, like I don't understand what we're missing with the shield. See, this idea of like supporting, it makes sense if like this is God, no? We could go with this assumption for now. I don't understand what like this means. Is it like an action? Like you're going back to the group? Okay, so we have our three. Oh my god, there are way too many like things. This has to be protect, right? Would make sense. And then it's gods and demons, right? It's supporting God. Wait, so maybe it's not warrior? No, okay, wait. Because we're talking about the warriors since the start, right? So I think that like I've inverted like the warrior and probably the pluralizer, I think. You have to be like the person and you have to be like the modifier for like everything. Yeah, okay. So that's my... Okay. I want to go down just to check this again. Soul warrior. Do something. It's stop, right? It has to be stop. Then march, right? Which makes sense. And then there's like joining the group, but like I don't understand what that can... No, is it the whole thing? This is the pluralizer? Okay. It's a bit weird the way they're drawing that, but okay. And then we have like a lot of things here that are kind of... So that could be man, right? It could be either man or devotee. I think this is protect. I don't carry, or I mean, there's like a support, something like that. A bit too wide, I think. This is the strange part, right? Is that they say we should have like, maybe, you know, okay, this is probably God, right? But then there's like the... Protect. Because if you're like the devil, I don't think it makes that much sense, right? Unless it's not necessarily like that much of a negative. I mean, you look like devil though, like a devil. So it feels weird. Okay, we need to think a bit more. There was like this, no, it was not, it's all what we saw like on the own demon. I don't think you're God. You're not striking them in this picture, right? Because they seem like in supplication or something. Wait, you have like some sort of things exiting you. Okay, no. So you're a demon. Because you have like weird like tongues exiting your mouth in a very like crazy way. So you have to be demon, devil, something like that. So maybe this is it. No? Okay, I'm mistaken. I'll put like demon here, but I'm really not confident in this. Protect. I would be surprised if you're not protect. Barrack house, but it's all that. Then that was all. All house. So we saw that like on the top of the first building, like kind of temple or whatever. I would be surprised if this is not God though. Protect what? What are they protecting in here? I need to see like the statue again. So they carry like a block with like God or something like that on top, which I think is like the least difficult thing to understand. Okay, so you're a warrior and they seem like demon, no? With their tongues and kind of like their hands that are kind of very big, almost like claws. It's the second statue that's like is a little bit weird to me. I should stop also playing at some point. No, okay, so you're protecting. They look at the instrument. So this is an instrument, right? Could that be God? And that is something else? Like, I'm pretty sure that like this is demon though. So maybe this is this, yes. Okay, so the chosen, the one with the instrument. Impure, demon, okay, and protect. And so you're the, okay, so this is chosen, which is different from God. You have, okay. It's not the same masks as well. I'm not sure if it's like that relevant or not. I guess we are just going to sneak like around the perimeter now, right? We want to enter the house, like, or the room in here. There's not much we can do apart from that, I think. Like, there's no way we go there. I don't know what it can be. There's the plural. Don't know if it's warrior. It cannot be warrior, but... There is a lot of them. He will see me if I cross beyond on the other side. Where am I trying to go if I do that? That was honestly a very wild idea. And I guess we're waiting for the next like set of guards to pass to kind of like go on this side. Hey, don't worry about me, eh? Okay, but where? What was the point of doing that, like? That's probably not where I needed to go, right? I should have continued on the left, maybe. I don't know. We can wait for the next like guards to go. I guess also the game is like saving at every opportunity. No, I've not paid attention to any like auto-save points or whatever. Symbols, I mean. I will say I do really like the okay, yeah, we needed to go to the other side. Oops. I really like the Mobius like aesthetics of the game. I think it's like a shame that like less people nowadays are kind of like inspired by it. We had like that a lot, I think. You know, in the late 90s, and it kind of like disappeared a little. Okay. The stinking gameplay is also like, I think, okay. So new words completely, right? The verb is like at the beginning, so it feels like a very imperative, like there's also like a bug, so kind of like bugs here, but I think they have a very abstract language, so I shouldn't like be swayed by forms in general, I think. So I guess this is like put, this is box or something like that. It has to be put. And kind of might be like take though. This is weird, this one. I don't know. Warrior. Okay, so that's put down and that's carry right. And this has to be, wait, what was he saying? Is it push? Yes, that's what he was saying, right? Carry, lay, push. Okay, so we can sneak again, I guess, but carry. Is this a demonstrative? This might be a demonstrative here. This, I mean, I'll put like demonstrative, this, something like that. Okay, this one. It can be... Oh wait, there was like... different things, right? That might be this and that, to be fair. I've not paid attention. Wagon or whatever. You call that like chariot, car. The thing is, like, if I push that, like, everybody will be here, no? Or they're completely blind. Well, don't worry about it then. So we have a boat. There are things in those boxes, no? Oh, I can't go there. I want to go up here, I guess, but I need to find like a way to do so. Barrel. Box. Oops. I mean, okay, so we know that this is like probably bottle here. Or potions, I guess, if we want to do a translation with what we had. I guess you will like inspect that. Maybe? What's the point of doing that though? Because I can't reach this place here, right? I don't understand like what I can do with this. I can probably like put something in there. But okay, I'll just wait for you to go and but there's not much I can do. Oh. I can take this box for some reason. Don't worry about it. What's the point of like taking this box though? Because I'm probably bringing it to the elevator, but oops, the elevator is up. Oh, am I using that as a cover? And then I can hide behind that like when he's trying to pass, right? Okay, so you're the box, you're the bottle. Huh, you have like this high difference, there's small and big, right? Oh, that might be like big and small instead of like demonstrative, right? Take this big box and take this small box, right? Oof, not that way then. Okay, I was just inverting like those two things. Okay, that makes sense. I should have like paid attention to the size of like the box that we're taking, but... Okay, I'm waiting for you to go. And then as soon as you turn, I dash. This feels like a lot. Thank God they are blind though. Where do I go now? Do I want to just go like to the left? No, okay. I don't exactly know where is my... Ooh, I have a save here. Okay, I cannot cross here before like they pass with the cart. I'm doing that so I can like... Oh, do I need to wait again for like another cart? Okay, so I'm waiting for another cart, then I can dash. I think this is always like the problem. Okay, so we are going back like to this old thingy, but old plural thingy. Yeah, I was like too slow here. I should have sent before. I don't know. I was like watching this. You will leave now. You have raid. Thank you for being here and have fun with your raid. I should stop as well. I'll stop after this room. Else we'll be here like forever, I think. But yeah, thank you for coming. When it's here, I'm striking. Okay, and now I'm just waiting for you to turn to the other side. I can go here and there. And I'll wait for you to come back, and then when you will be here walking, I'll just dash. Weapons. Or we can just like disguise ourselves. As guards, no? Which I guess is the whole point of... Okay, so we are still conspicuous here. We need like Wait, I need to check like what's your equipment, no? I feel like I'm... Wait, where's my weapon? May need a sword. Or you cannot have like both of them, right? Oh, because you don't have a shield, right? You just have gauntlet instead. And you have like big hats instead of like small ones. So this. Okay. So now we can kind of like go wherever we want, right? So I think like this means weapon. Or equipment, whatever. Warrior god? Carry weapons. So you're the card, your weapon. Oh, because it's army. Oh, it's duty. Carry your duty. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I was a bit mistaken here. Like, I didn't expect when they were holding the rock that like duty was kind of like the allegoric, that it was the allegoric representation of like the duty. I said I was going to stop just after this room. Chosen ones. Warriors wait. The impure wasteth. Wait. Plural chosens. I don't know if it's like a... It could be... It's weird if it's 4, right? Because you don't have like this one here, right? If you want to place it. 2... We lack like something, I think. I'm too addicted. No, we should stop. We should stop. We should stop. Let's stop here, right? I think it's a good moment to take a break. Because it seems like a kind of like a hub. Okay. Very interesting. It's it has some good ideas. I think it does like a lot of things right. It's obviously very like it guides you as a game with like those pictures that you have to feel. But I guess because the difficulty is kind of like raising here and it becomes like very abstract with like the language, especially duty, that it's not necessarily a bad thing. I like the direction, the art direction like a lot. And I don't know, I think there are like 4 or 5 different like language that you need to learn. Probably 5 considering like the number of like bookmarks that you have here. So I'm interested in continuing that like next week or whatever. But for now, I think we should just take a break and do other things. On Friday, we'll be here streaming a little bit. It will be a Zatsudan piano thingy. I wanted to play some piano a little bit. I wanted to talk also a lot. So it's mostly like we talk, and if I feel like we you know, can't talk for like 3 hours straight, then we'll do some piano. But expect this to be like a yapping stream more than anything else. And that's basically it. So thank you for being here today. I don't know if anyone is streaming right now. The answer is The answer is not really. So I'll just say goodbye for now. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you on Friday or later. Have a good evening, good day. Bye bye.